really is. And again, thank you for your work. Excuse me. And as well, the long hours that staff has spent doing this. The other part that you forgot to include, Anna, was that she's also responsible for the day-to-day activities, which is a balancing act that's just a huge accomplishment. And the fact that you're even here tonight, I think, is quite impressive. But you should enjoy the realization that the work that you've done has been a huge benefit to the community as a whole. And we all owe you a great deal of thanks for that. The work on this has, the first time I read it, I appreciated it because I could actually understand it, which is good. The second, third, and fourth time that I read it, I gained more and more insight as to what's going on. And I agree with, in terms of the compliance reports and the steps and the actions that we've taken and the responses, or the comments that you've made, observations, and then the responses from staff, and then comments regarding that, and the work that we have to do, and a couple of outstanding ones that we need to deal with, in particular with grants, since we are audited by other agencies on those particular items too. So in terms of an action plan, we have the basis of an action plan regarding those types of things. And I agree with you to formalize it more, establish a more maybe lay way of looking at it and developing a strategy to deal with it, and the tactics we need to implement it, I think, are important. But what I see as probably the two most and greatest concerns, and Ingrid, maybe you can see if we're all on the same track, is one, what Spencer, what you had mentioned, is in our general fund, we need to reduce, we need to not spend more than we take in.
That's correct.
You said it very bluntly in the report, I think, and it needed to be said that way, and it's very easy to understand that way. And the second is the interloan funds, is establishing a way to repay the interloan funds.
That's correct. I think first just being aware of the importance of the issue, and then looking for ways or some type of a plan, doesn't have to be immediate, but put some type of plan in place to acknowledge that those negative funds need to be taken care of.
And I saw those as the two most glaring issues out of the audits that you completed.
Yes.
Would that be correct?
Yes, that's
Okay.
correct.
Thank you. So with those thoughts in mind, you mentioned that we're going to address the general fund in the coming discussions. The other area that we have to attack is the second issue, and that's how we're going to deal with the interloan funds. That is going to be extremely challenging. It's going to be a very difficult discussion to begin with. And then secondly, it's going to be equally difficult trying to implement some type of a plan that's going to get us over what I see as a very long period of time back in good financial order on those interloan funds as well. That's going to be difficult. So we've got the immediate need in the general fund that we'll have to address. That's going to be very painful. And then the other discussion, which probably won't be as immediately painful, but in the long term is going to have an effect on our ability to do the types of things that we want to do in the future too. It's going to be real challenging. So it's going to be a lot of good discussion. The implementation plan, I agree with, or strategy, I agree with, but I think we've got a good basis here in the compliance reports, the observations, the recommendations, and the comments on staff's responses. I think we've got a very, very good start on taking care of those issues as well.
I think we do as well, and I think that the upcoming discussions among the Fiscal Sustainability Committee will help us to develop that plan as well. Ingrid, let me ask you a quick question. It's, in my mind, these interfund loans, we're not going to be able to pay these down in the next 10 years, the next 15 years. It could be 20 years. As long as we have a plan in place for that, Does that to begin to alleviate your concerns?
Yes, I think we're certainly not expecting anything in the short term for as far as repayment, but as long as you acknowledge it and have a plan in place for how those will be taken care of down the road.
And Paul, are you talking pay off or pay down?
I prefer pay off, but I'll work with pay down.
Okay, well, because I want to make sure that we